Hi everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making this adorable summer mini tote. This is so cute. I love using popcorn stitches. It really makes it really pop with a pop of color. And this cute little button is just an extra accent. I'll get into the supplies we need, get into the frequently asked questions about sizing, and then we'll get into making this beautiful bag. So supplies. Huge thank you to Lion Brand Yarn for sending me this yarn. They sent this to me in these two colors. This is basic stitch. The yellow color is the basic stitch. I would get 2 balls of this yarn. I used 2 balls of this yarn in the color Lemonade. It is a size 4 medium worsted weight yarn, so if you can't get basic stitch yarn, you can use any size 4 medium worsted weight yarn, any acrylic yarn, or cotton type of yarn would work. We need to use 2 strands of yarn at the same time when crocheting this, so if you wanted to get a chunky yarn, you could as well, and just use 1 strand of a chunky color, of a chunky yarn. The other color, the accent color I'm using is this one. This is like a turquoisey color. This one is actually called Lion Brand Yarns Vanna's Choice. I don't have the color name. I will get it. It will be linked in the description of this video as well as in the pattern on YARNutopia.com. I will have the specific colors and names and links to where you can get this specific yarn if you want to make this color bag. But you can use 2 contrasting colors. I am using a worsted weight yarn. 2 strands of yarn work together at the same time, as you can see in the tutorial, but you can use a chunky yarn with 1 strand, or you can use 2 strands like me. I am making I'm using a base for this bag. As you can see on the bottom here, we crochet in the base. It just gives a nice sturdy bottom with this type of base. You can get a double pack on Amazon. I will link in the description of this video. I also saw some, I like Shein, so I've been shopping on Shein, and they actually sell these for really cheap on Shein as well, so you can really get them anywhere. The only recommendation I have is if you have an even number of circle stitch holes, an even number. This one has 40. So if you have 40 stitch holes on your base, perfect, that's exactly what I have, or an even number, so that's what you'll need. And then the 2 hook sizes we're going to use. The first hook size is the 3.25 millimeter hook. This hook is basically just to get through the holes on the base bottom. That's all we're really using it for. And for the handle, I crocheted the handle with this hook as well. So, and the handle is worked with 1 strand of yarn, but the whole bag itself is worked with 2 strands of yarn. As you can see, it's a little thicker. So we use the smaller hook for just the handle and just crocheting getting the stitches around round 1 on the base. But the other hook we're using for the main part of the bag is this eye hook, which is 5.5 millimeters. And these 2 hooks are from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. Actually, a lot of my supplies are from Would Be Fancy. You should just go on the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy and shop around and look at all the fabulous wooden items. These are hand-carved ergonomic wooden handled crochet hooks, and they're so fabulous. I use them in all of my tutorials, and they're just easy to crochet with. I love them so much. The handle, just, you know how it fits in your hand like this, or for some people who crochet like this, it just works out so nicely. The other supplies we're going to need are yarn needles, and this is another piece that I got from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. It is a yarn needle holder, and this one is engraved with YARNutopia on it. I absolutely love how that looks, and this just twists off, and you can see my yarn needles are safe inside, that they won't get lost. So you'll need a yarn needle to sew in a bunch of ends, sew your handle to the bag, and sew the button on. And also the button is from Would Be Fancy as well. There are sets of buttons that you can get too, and they have the carvings on them too if you want specific carvings or pretty carvings like this fleur-de-lis. It's so beautiful. It's so fabulous. It's more like a high fashion bag. I just love the extra detail in there. So I think that's all the supplies that I used for this project. Like I said, use 2 strands of yarn at the same time. So I bought 2 balls of this yellow and 2 balls of this blue, and I don't have much left of the blue, and I didn't really have much left of the yellow either, actually. This is what I have left of the yellow strands. little more than the blue. The blue like, really went out. But popcorn stitches are yarn eaters, so just remember that. Let's see here. You want to trail your yarn up each row because we are changing color every single row, so you don't need to cut your yarn and change color or anything. I show you that in the tutorial, and yeah, don't fasten off each row. For sizing, like I said, there's 40 stitches around because of the base. If you want to, if you can't get access to a base, just make, you know, start with, I guess, it would be 9 stitches, like you could do single crochets or even half double crochets making a base, like a circle, and then go up the sides, and you can go up to, I would say, do rounds of 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, and then you can go up, or even 50 and then 60, and you could do 60 stitches around and make this bag. It would still be super fabulous and super big. So that's really about sizing info. You just want to make sure you have an even number of stitches, and then we make this top flap and the handle. And the handle, again, you can make it as long as you want because it's just continuous rounds working in a spiral kind of thing. So that is really all I have for sizing info. I don't know if you have any questions or concerns about this pattern or want to make it yourself and are stuck, you can leave a comment or message me, and I will try to help you through this project because it is so fabulous and everybody should make it. I love it. So big huge thank you to Lion Brand Yarn for providing this yarn. Thanks to my dad back here who is filming me. Yay! We have a tutorial. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video so that when he posts our next one, you can get the notification when we post next. Alright, thanks for watching. Let's get started and make this summer mini tote. Alright, we are going to start with the base of the bag here. We are going to be looking at the inside, okay, where these little stands are. That's the outside. That's where it lays on the table or wherever you're setting your bag. It lays there. So this is the inside, so we're going to be looking at this, and we're going to take our small, tiny hook that fits in these holes, okay? We're going to use that first. But it's just, the small hook is just used to get through the holes of the bottom of the bag. After this round, we're not using this hook. We're going to switch to our our I hook, which is 5.5 millimeters. You could use an H hook if you want. For the main part of your bag, it's not going to make it much of a difference. So we're using 2 strands of yarn at the same time. Okay, so I have the 2 balls of yarn, and I'm just using 2 strands like one. And I just hook it over my finger like this. I'm looking at the inside of the bag. And you can start really anywhere. I'm just going to start in this hole right here. Go in, hook on your yarn, pull it through, and chain 1 like this. Okay, we're going to go back into that same hole and make a single crochet. So we're going to go in, yarn over, and pull it through, and get comfortable with this. It's going to be quite a difficult round 1. So we're going to pull up. Okay, so there's 1, 2, actually it looks like 4 loops, but this is 1 and this is 1. Yarn over and pull through both of those loops to make a single crochet. Okay, and we're just going to single crochet in each of the holes around. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and you kind of just got to maneuver this thing to kind of fit, pull up all the way, and then yarn over and pull it through both of the loops, like that. Okay, so that's 2. This base has 40 holes around, so I'm just going to single crochet in each of these holes, and when I get back here, I'll be back to show you what to do next, but just single crochet in each of these holes around. Oh, I wanted to say this one has 40 holes, so it's an even number. You want to make sure that your base has an even number. If it does not, if your base has an odd number of holes, just put 2 single crochets in one of the holes to make an even number of stitches around. So mine's going to have 40 stitches around, but yours just needs an even number around, okay? So we're just single crocheting loosely, okay, just like this, all the way around, okay? And when we get back around, I'll come back and show you what to do next. Alright, just finishing the last stitch here. This is what your work should look like. Awesome. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to slip stitch, but we're going to change colors as we slip stitch to the first stitch here. So let's go into the first single crochet stitch right here. Go in. Okay, we're going to pull this one kind of tight and leave it back there. And we're going to grab a new color. So again, 2 strands at the same time. Okay, we're just going to hook that on, new color, and pull that through the stitch and the loop on your hook. Okay, and then pull the old yarn tight. And we're not going to fasten off our colors, okay? We're going to be trailing them up each round because we're switching colors every round, okay? And for round 2 now, we are going to chain 2. And we're going to turn our work so we're looking at the outside of our bag. Okay, this is the outside of the bag, so we're going to be working now along this round. Okay, so we're going to, in this first stitch right here, this is our slip stitch, so this doesn't count as anything. This tiny little loop right here, that's our slip stitch. So don't touch that. We're going to go into this stitch right here. Okay, we're going to go in and make a popcorn stitch. A popcorn stitch is 5 double crochets in the same stitch right here. So yarn over, oh, we're going to switch our hook actually. This is my smaller hook. So throw this one to the side, grab your 5mm hook to make bigger, obviously bigger stitches, bigger popcorns. So we're going to go into this first stitch right here and we're going to make a popcorn stitch. That's 5 double crochets in there. So yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through those other 2 loops. That's a double crochet. So we're going to make 5 of them in that same stitch. So yarn over, go back in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Again, yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There's 3, here's 4, and 5. Okay, now to finish off the popcorn stitch, what we're going to do is pull this loop up a little bit, remove the hook, go into the first double crochet of this grouping. Okay, so ignore that chain up 2 right here. We're going to go into the first stitch, put the loop back on your hook, okay, and then pull it through, and it kind of folds it in half. I'm going to go cut. Sorry about that. I had a screaming toddler I had to take care of. So we pulled this chain through, or I'm sorry, not the chain, the loop that was on this side, we pulled it through, and this folds in half and creates the popcorn stitch. The popcorn stitch is my all-time favorite stitch to make. I absolutely love it, and it's so fun. So we're going to continue making popcorn stitches around. After each popcorn stitch of this round, we're going to chain 2. So yarn over, pull through, 1, 2. And then we're going, oh, I lost a loop, hang on. Sorry. There we go. So 1, 2, then we're going to skip 1 stitch. Okay, we're just going to skip 1 stitch and go into the next stitch and make our next popcorn stitch. So that's 5 double crochets in there. Let's make sure we get underneath all the loops. There we go. So 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all in that same stitch. It is going to get pretty tight. There we go. Pull that loop up a little bit, go to the first double crochet of the grouping, insert your hook, hook that loop on your hook, and pull it through. Fold it in half, tighten it, just like that, and then chain 2. 1, 2. Skip 1 stitch and popcorn into the next. And just do that all the way around. And when I come back around, this round is going to be a little bit difficult just because these stitches here. Once I get all the way around, I'll meet you up and we will finish this round and change color back to yellow and go on to the next round together. Alright, when you come back around, I have my last popcorn stitch here. This is considered a stitch right here, so we're going to skip this one. And we are going to chain 2 to finish this round. And we're going to slip stitch to the first popcorn stitch. Now make sure your yellow yarn that's attached to the ball of yarn that you're working yarn, you put it inside the bag. Okay? That is going inside the bag. And we are going to slip stitch to this first popcorn stitch. I just go in that chain right there. Okay, yarn over, pull, oh, we're going to change color. So don't yarn over with this color. We're going to pull this color tight. Okay, pick up the yellow, pull it through there, and pull it through the loop on your hook to slip stitch. And then chain 2, and we'll tighten all of this. And then when we come back around, this blue, or bluish green teal color is going to come to the outside here when we come back around. Okay, so we slip stitched with the yellow, we chained up 2. We're going to turn our work so we're looking at the inside of the bag. So every time you use yellow, you're looking at the inside of the bag. Every time you use this teal, you're going to be looking at the outside of the bag. Okay, so just make sure of that. And for what we're going to do now is we're going to work in between these chain 2 spaces here. I'm going to pull this tight. Okay, drop that. And we're going to work in between here into the previous second row previous. So not obviously into this row, we're working around the chain space into the stitches from round 1. So yarn over, we're putting 2 double crochets into each of those stitches. Okay, so go in to the stitch from round 1, and this will be a little difficult just because those stitches are a little tighter. Okay, get this out of the way. Let's put it on this side. Okay, yarn over and pull up to your height. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over, go in to that same stitch, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And those are extended double crochets, and they'll be between the stitches. Okay, so we're going to hop up between these 2 stitches here, yarn over. You don't have to chain anything or at all or anything like that. We're just going to separate the 2 popcorn stitches and work into the stitch below. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, go back in, so we're putting 2 double crochets into each of those. Oopsie, I hooked on some teal. Hang on. Don't get stuck. I hooked on some teal on accident. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, hop to the next. Perfect. So just do that all the way around, and then you will have your 40 stitches again. So once I come back around, just like this. Okay, and you can see on this side, it's just going in between. That's going to look so cool. Okay, I'm super excited. So now I'm just going to do that all the way around, and when I come back, I'll show you how to go on to the next round. Alright, I just finished putting 2 double crochets between each of these popcorn stitches into round 1 there, and I've counted 40 stitches around, as you can see. So now we are going to slip stitch to the first double crochet. Okay, so ignore this chain 2 here. We're going to go into the double crochet stitch, yarn over. Actually, we're going to change color, so we're going to pull this tight. Make sure that your other color is behind here on the outside so you can hook it on and pull it through and through, and then pull everything tight, just like that. Okay, and now this yellow can come back to the inside here. We're going to chain 2 and turn our work so we're looking at the outside of our bag. This is looking awesome. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to put this yellow to the back in the inside of the bag. Okay, and now we're working with this teal. And on the first double crochet of each 2 double crochet grouping, we are going to put a popcorn stitch. And we're going to skip the second double crochet in each of the double crochet groupings. So in this very first stitch, right here, we are going to put our popcorn stitch, which you remember from round 1 is 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So 1, here's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, very similar to round 2 here. We're going to go into the first double crochet, hook that on, pull it through, and it folds in half. Then chain 2, 1 and 2, and then skip this stitch right here. Okay, go into this next stitch right here and make your next popcorn stitch. Okay, and then chain 2, skip a stitch, and then make a popcorn stitch in the next stitch. Okay, then when I come all the way back around, we'll change back to yellow, turn our work, and work the 2 double crochet stitches that we did here. We're going to work them in the skipped stitches on this round, if that makes sense. So I'll just make this round and then I'll show you how to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, round 5 next. So this is round 4, making popcorn stitches. Chain 2, skip a stitch, popcorn stitch in the next. Then chain 2, skip 1 stitch, and popcorn stitch in the next. And do that all the way around, and then when we go into round 5, I'll show you what to do. Alright, I'm just finishing this round, just chaining 2, exactly how we did round 2 here. Slip stitch to the first stitch right in this chain 1 right here. And then we're going to switch colors back to yellow. And we're going to turn our work, and we're basically just going to repeat round 3. So let me slip stitch with yellow, pull through and through, okay, pull everything tight, and then chain 2, oopsie, there we go, 1, 2, turn the work so you're looking at the inside of the bag. Okay, we can put this blue on the outside of the bag, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets in each of the stitches from the 2 previous rows. So this is row 1, row 2, previous. In the pattern it says, let's see here, where does it say? Repeat working in the second previous row. So second previous row, this is 1 and then this is 2. So that is the yellow stitches worked into the yellow stitches. So we're putting 2 double crochets. So 1 and, let's see, 2. There we go. And then just hop over to the next, spread these apart, look through the chain space, and this bottom stitch right here is where we're going to work. So into that stitch, and working around that chain 2 space from the previous row. Okay, and then making your 2 double crochets. So all we're going to do is just repeat alternating those 2 rows, popcorn row and this double crochet row. Okay, double crochet rows, these yellow rows are worked looking at the inside of the bag, and the popcorn rows are worked looking at the outside of the bag. So just repeat these 2 rows all the way up until your bag is as deep as you want it to be. I am going to do 17 rows, okay? And you want to end on a row with this yellow, a double crochet row, okay? Do not end on a popcorn row. We're going to end on a double crochet row, okay? So I'm going to go all the way up until row 17. Once I finish row 17, I'll come back and show you how to do the top part of the bag. Then we still have to make a handle and add a button, but we'll get there. So just do this part, and then I'll be back when I finish 17 rows total. Alright, I just finished row 17 here. I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch, and then I'll show you. Okay, I'm actually going to chain 1 going on to row 18. We're going to chain 1, so I'm just going to pull this up then, and you can zoom out and see this fabulous bag so far. It's looking really good. Inside too, I have some ends to sew in, but not bad. I did end up after row 16, this popcorn row, I did trim this yarn, so I'm going to sew that in a little bit. But we did not fasten off the yellow because we are going to continue working up now. So at this point, my bag is as tall as I want it to be. So now we're going to make the top portion, which is like a brim, just a yellow single crochet brim. And then we're going to make a little flap, and we'll add a button and a handle. So what we're going to do now, we're looking at the outside of our bag, so we turned it around, okay, and we are going to single crochet around. So just go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a single crochet, okay, so we're just going to single crochet in each stitch around for 40 stitches. Super simple. We're going to do that, and we'll slip stitch to the first stitch when we come back around and go on to round 19. Alright, my last single crochet of this round is right here. Make sure to count your stitches, make sure you have 40 stitches all the way around, and slip stitch to the first one, yarn over, pull through and through. On one of my rows, I think I did count 41 stitches, so if you end up with 41 or 42 stitches, it shouldn't matter. You won't be able to tell. So far that looks good. So now what we're going to do is just repeat this row of single crochets to make 5 total. So there's 1, so I'll do 4 more, and each round we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work, and then work going the opposite direction. And so we're going to look at the inside of our bag for now for this row, but the next row I'm going to look on the outside. Then the row after that I'll be seeing the inside, and then the row after that will be our last row, and that'll be worked looking at the outside. So I'll do that, and then you want to finish looking at the outside rows. So if you want to do it more, you can do more or less, or however you want it to be on yours. But I'm going to do 5 total, just single crochet rows, and then once I finish row 22, I'll come back, and we're not going to fasten off or anything. We're going to make a little flap for the top covering kind of thing. So I'll show you that next. Alright, just finished round 22. Now we're going to start making the flap that goes over. So at this point, this is what your bag should look like. Okay, so this is where it's going to close. So we're going to just stitch across halfway, and then back, and then back, and back, or whatever. So however long you want it to flap over, and then we'll add a button to this piece as well. So what we're going to do now is chain 1. Okay, we're going to work from the inside. So this is the side that's going to have the flap over, and we're just going to do 20 stitches. We're going to make half double crochets. You can make single crochets or half double crochets. I'm just going to do 3 rows of half double crochets. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, that's a half double crochet. So we're just going to half double crochet into half of the stitches, which is 20 stitches. So I'm just going to do 20 half double crochets. And then when I do that, when I finish making 20 of these, I'll come back and show you what to do next. Alright, just finishing the 20th stitch there. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So now this is going to come like over the top. So I'm going to do another row. So let's chain 1, turn our work around, and just half double crochet across each of these 20 stitches. Just like that. Okay, and then after this, actually I might just do 2 rows. I'll see how I feel. Maybe 2 rows will be enough. And if that's the case, then we're going to make our loop. Okay, I'll show you exactly how to make the loop for the buttonhole. We're going to do 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let me see if this is going to be, I'm just going to check things out. Oh yeah, that's cute. Okay, so at this point, I'm only going to do 2 rows then. I'm going to edit my pattern and just do rows 23 and 24. And 23 was that row there. This is row 24. So we're going to make a buttonhole here. Sorry if I screwed you up and said you had to do 3 rows. You can do 2 or 3. It's up to you. To make the buttonhole, we are going to chain 3 and then continue on making your half double crochets. That's it. Okay. My button is 1 inch and this should stretch around it. If you need to test it out, maybe you need to chain more. So let's try to get our button through. This is my button. Got it at Would Be Fancy Etsy shop. Okay, and it looks like it fits pretty good all the way through easily. Okay, so I don't need to chain any more or chain less. So I chained 3 and then continue to half double crochet across. Okay, and then once I finish, which you can just continue watching, we are going to fasten off right at the end here. And then we have to make a handle and add our button to our bag. So we are almost done. Okay, so to fasten this off, I'm going to chain 1. I need to grab some scissors here and cut this yarn. Pull it through that chain 1, pull tight, and we'll sew in that end. Okay, then you can see it'll go like this. Cute. And this button will be sewn here. Cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, and then we'll make the handles that will be sewn on the inside here. So let's do that first, and then we'll add this button after. So let's grab our yarn. I'm going to make my handle in yellow, and I'm just going to use 1 strand of yarn. And we are going to use, let's see here, you can use, I'm trying to think what hook size, the hook that we used in the beginning, that 3.25, yeah, 3.25. Is that a D hook then, or an F? It's a D hook. So you can use a D hook. That's 3.25 millimeters. I do have, this one is a 3.5 millimeter, but the handle is small, and I don't prefer these. So I have a Would Be Fancy hook that I'm just going to use. This is a 3.25 millimeter. So let's start out by making a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, fold this down and pull it through, and we're going to make the handle. So if you want to start with a long strand, you can for sewing, but I already made my knot and I'm not going back. So now we are going to chain 10. So yarn over, pull through. This is going to be a really tight stitching for the handle. So I'm just yarning over and pulling through. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You can chain more or less if you want your, however thick you want your handle to be halfway. So this, like, fold this in half, and that's how wide my handle is going to be, okay? So what we're going to do, without twisting this or anything, we're going to single crochet into the first chain. So we're going to bring our hook back to the first chain here, okay, and go into that first chain, and then single crochet. So pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And there's our first stitch, and we've created a ring. So now going into, I'm just going to stick my finger into this ring here and start working. And we're just going to work a single crochet in each chain around. Okay, it's going to be a little difficult for rounds 1 and 2, but after you get past those 2 rounds, it's just going to work so fast. And we're working in continuous rounds, so we're not, you know, chaining or turning or slip stitching or anything like that. It's just continuous single crochet rounds. So I'm almost done with this round here. You can just continue watching, and then we can go on to the repeat portion. Sorry, this is what happens when I say you can continue watching and then I screw up. Sorry. There we go. Almost there. One, two, and this one. Sorry if that was really difficult for you to see, but the stitches are very small with this tight hook. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is this last super difficult chain right here. Okay, so now that was round 1. Okay, we're going to work into this stitch, this first stitch right here, you can see. We're just going to go in there, and you can work in the front and back loop. If you wanted to have more of a ribbed look, you could just work in the back loop of the stitch, but I'm going to work in both loops and just keep it like that. Okay, so I'm just single crocheting in now each stitch around. This is round 2. If you want to, keep counting 10 stitches around, or you can put a stitch marker in the first stitch of each round so you know where the round starts. That's cool, but there's only 10 stitches here, so I can kind of just count on it. So, okay. So now what we just need to do is just do that for however many rounds you want your handle to be. It'll start making a long tubular kind of shape, and then you could just do as many rounds as you want, just making it like this. If you want to stuff it with stuffing, you can, to make it more stiff. If you want to put it on your bag flat, I mean, there's many different ways to make a strap also. I mean, this is the way I'm making mine, but you can make yours like a I-cord style, or you know, a braided style. You can make 2 handles, you can make the 1 handle. That's kind of like creator's choice, but this is how I'm making mine, so I'm just showing you how I'm doing it, but really you can get creative with it. Or you don't even need a handle. You can make just a little bag with a basket, Easter basket. Or you can make the handle make a big Easter basket, I don't care. So you can see here I'm continuously working now in the round, just continuously making my handle. So once I finish, I think I'm probably going to do like 70 or 80 rounds and then try to see how that fits on my bag. And then once I finish making it as long as I want mine to be, I'll let you know and we'll go on to the next step. Alright, this is what your handle should look like, just really long tube kind of thing. I did 80 rounds total. I think that's as long as I want it to be, and I stretched it a little bit so it feels like with the weight of the bag it's going to stretch. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't too stretched out and too long, so I stretched it and made sure, and then I put it on my bag to see, you know, how high it was going to be. It's going to look like that. Okay, so I'm just going to sew it on flat. So what I'm going to do is slip stitch in the next stitch and then fasten off. So go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through and through, and then chain 1, and we're going to cut this yarn long for sewing and pull that through and pull tight. Okay, so now we are going to grab our yarn needle and our bag. I'm going to sew in these ends real quick. I grabbed the wrong needle. By the way, I wanted to show you, this is my needle holder that I got from Would Be Fancy. The top, it screws on, and my needles are secure in there. So this is the needle I want. And then I keep them all safe, and this twists back on. And look, it's engraved, and it says YARNutopia. Look at how fabulous. I keep my needles in here, and this is in my craft bag, so I never lose my needles, because, man, needles are very difficult to find in a haystack of yarn. So, I'm going to yarn my needle with this strand here, and then we're just going to go underneath the stitches and hide it. Just like that. Cool. And then back and forth. And you can do this, 2 or 3 times, just make sure it's secure. Stretch it out, and then cut any excess. Okay? And you can do that for all your ends. Okay? So now what I want to do is sew the handle on. So I'm going to take the long strand from the one side that we cut. Okay, and we're going to put it on this side of the piece right here, just right next to the flap. Okay, and probably like 3-4 rows in on here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, probably that deep in. Okay, and then we're just going to go in to the bag and then through. I know it's very difficult for you to see this. We're going to go through to the next stitch and then through here. And you want to go through all the layers and make it super tight, like that. And then we'll fasten it off when it's all sewn in. I'm just going to go back and forth a few times just to make it really super secure, because I like to keep some heavy things, when everything adds up. I got my phone, I got my lip gloss, I got my planner, I've got Nasser's toys, I've got candy, mom stuff, and even sometimes I'll grab a little ball of yarn and crochet hook, because you never know when you can use it. And so I like to keep that in my bag as well. And hopefully this bag carries all of that, because, man, I need it. There, that's pretty secure, looking pretty good. So now we're just going to go on the inside of the bag here and make a loop, and then keep your finger in the loop, and then come back around the loop and tie a knot. Okay, and secure that. And we can do that 2 or 3 times. So again, make a loop, come back through the loop, and then pull tight. And then we can just sew this end in inside of the handle. And then I'm just going to wrap the other side out along this edge and just sew this one on this side. So do that, and then I'll show you how to sew the button on. Alright, I just sewed on this side, so it looks like this. Okay, I stretched this back flap a little bit, because when I tried to close it, it kind of didn't cover this part very well. So I kind of just stretched this middle part here, and I just like tugged on it like this, and then it kind of looked a little better to me. So that's kind of the look I'm going for. So we're going to add that button right there. Okay, so we're going to grab a piece of yarn and our yarn needle and yarn our needle with that. We're going to position our button right where we want it to be. in the center there, and then go from the back through the holes and again. Like that. Okay, and then we're just going to tie those two strands in a knot in the back. And you can tie it 2 or 3 times for security. Okay, and then we're just going to take our yarn needle and sew those 2 ends in. The inside. Oops. And there we have it. A cute little mini tote bag. I love it so much. I love popcorn stitches. It was so much fun to make this bag. Huge thank you to Lion Brand Yarn for providing the yarn for this beautiful project. I love working with them, and their yarn is so fabulous. And like I said earlier, you could stuff these handles to keep them in the shape, but I didn't. It's just I'll just be careful with it. And then we have our cute little button and our loop. And there it is. See how it was saying about this? I don't know if I like that. I might off camera add another row, but whatever. It's still very cute and nobody's gonna notice. Oh my gosh, look at, I love it. I'm sorry, I kind of like freaked out for a second because I just finished this and I'm super proud of myself. Thank you so much for learning and watching this with me. If you did learn how to make this bag, please share your work on social media, hashtag YARNutopia, so I can see your work. If you get these buttons from Would Be Fancy, show me your button collection because I love it. This one specifically is so beautiful. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Happy hooking!